So hello everyone and welcome to ChartMill. In this video I'm going to share my recent setup and watch list. So I did some scanning this weekend before market open today. I'm looking for specific stocks that are showing a strong uptrend and that are showing some growth, either revenue growth or earnings growth. So these ideas are based on the book of Mark Minervini, Trade Like a Stock Market Wizard. And in ChartMill we have some predefined trading screens for that book. You can find those under the trading ideas section. So it's a screen that is looking for growth. And it's a combination of technical and fundamental analysis. So there are 6 different predefined Mark Minervini screens. So let's start with the basic screen number 1. I'm going to open my Watchlist Minervini basic screen number 1. So what does this basic screen look for? So let's have a look at the first screen. So all these screens, that's rather important, have the trend template rules. It's a qualifier. So all the rules apply to these, all the trend template rules apply to the 6 different screens. So let's have a look at the specific screen number 1. So there are the simple moving average rules. So the 50, 150 and 200 daily moving average rules, together with current high within 25% of the 52-week high, and the current close must be at least 30% higher than the 52-week low. Those are all specific rules that make the trend template. And then the fundamental rules in this basic screen number 1. So there has to be some decent earnings growth for the long term. So measured over the last 3 years, earnings per share growth of at least 50%. And decent earnings growth acceleration at least in the last year. So those are the specific rules for this basic screen number 1. So let's have a look. Open the watch list, basic screen number 1. So the first one is IR, showing tight price action, very close to the upsloping 10 SMA. As you may already have noticed on the weekly chart, it's a little bit overextended, but that's not a problem. You really should take a look at the daily chart pattern, and if this one breaks out above this 92-ish level, it creates a low risk setup. Arch Capital, an ascending triangle, also on the weekly chart, it's ready to break out, it seems. So if it can go up above 89, so the first resistance is at slightly above 90, and then there is no overhead resistance. Simon Property, tight price action. First resistance on the weekly is 170. So I should say I'm not taking into account the sector or industry performance when looking for these kind of setups. But you really should take a look at those sector and industry performances to have knowledge which are the strongest sectors, and you can do so by taking a look at our market monitor page. It's also in the main menu on the left. So this is the market monitor page showing you the 3 most important indexes: SPY, QQQ and IWM. All 3 of them are showing on the short and long term trend. It's definitely up. Then you have some sector performance numbers, 1 week, 1 month and 3 months. For example, last week materials did very well, and also some historical breadth numbers. So definitely take a look at this page to have knowledge of the performance of the indexes and which sectors are performing the best and the worst. So back to our list. Simon Property, as already mentioned, tight price action. And also on the weekly chart, it's showing up nicely. If it can break out above this high level on the daily, the first target is 170. INTR, it already broke out, but now it's showing a bullish flag. So if it can break out above the high, then it creates a low risk setup with a short stop loss just below this swing low or below the 10 SMA. It depends on your own risk appetite. Train Technologies, TT, tight price action after a strong up move. So there is a possibility of a next leg up. Volume is drying up, as you can see over here. Wabtec Corporation, again, very tight price action, volume drying up. So also this one looks ready for a next leg up if market stays positive. Texas Roadhouse, maybe I should add this one to my watch list, because I've noticed that price last Friday it fell below the 10 SMA, so it should regain the SMA 10 again. So maybe this one should be on my watch list, and I'm going to remove it from this setup list. Ryanair Holdings, tight price action with a kind of a shakeout from this swing low, but it regained very fast, and now it's again against the high. So also very obvious on the weekly chart, that tight price action. Strong volume. So if it can break out above this high at 143, then with a tight stop loss below this swing low, it's a nice low risk setup. Equinix, more difficult one, but very strong price action. Every day the low is higher, creates sort of a symmetrical triangle pattern, and especially on the weekly, it's an important level. This was on the weekly chart. This 880 level, between 880 and 900 was strong resistance. The only difficulty is where do you place a stop loss. It's maybe something to keep an eye on. Very tight price action, an inside day on Friday. So if it breaks out, then it also has the benefit that it's rather close to a big round number, 1,000, which can attract some buyers. So worthwhile to keep a look at. O'Reilly Automotive, again, tight price action, retesting the SMA 10. Cintas Corporation, the same. Price holding up between the 20 and 10 SMA. And the last one, Chipotle Mexican Grill. Tight price action, volume drying up, retesting the SMA 10. So although it already showed a very strong up move on the weekly, it doesn't mean it can't go higher. So basic screen number 2. So let's have a look at the basic screen number 2. What does it say? What does it mean? Again, the same trend template filters do apply. It's a qualifier, but in this case, earnings per share growth on a quarter-to-quarter base has to be higher than 25%, or at least 25%, and decent earnings growth acceleration, at least for the last 2 quarters. So there is only one result, and that it's Uber Technologies. Strong up move, but now there is a consolidation phase, sort of an ascending triangle. If it can break out above the high, it creates a low risk setup. Then screen number 3. So screen number 3 focuses, let's have a look on more info. So revenue growth on the long term, so an average over 3 years at least 15%, and then revenue acceleration at least the last year. So only 2 results. Again, IR, and it already showed up in the first screen. So this one is showing revenue and earnings growth. So keep that in mind. Strong volume on the weekly. Indeed extended on the weekly, but still a nice pattern on the daily chart. And then Excel, it's a little bit of a different one, showing an uptrend, but it's rather a retracement candidate. It's retracing now, creating some bullish flag. So if last trading day was also an inside candle, so if it can go up above this high, it creates a low risk setup with a sort of a possible stop loss just below this swing low. And the first real resistance on the daily chart is at 24.25, and on the weekly chart it's a little bit higher, 25.5. So risk reward, it's a nice setup. And then the last one, screen number 4, and screen number 4 is also the revenue growth acceleration, at least 2 quarters, and decent revenue growth quarter to quarter base, at least 25%. So only one candidate, but it's a very typical, it's a textbook VCP pattern, a volatility contraction pattern from Mark Minervini's book Trade Like a Stock Market Wizard, and I will show it with a annotation. So it's really tightening up, and also on the weekly chart, that's a triple top, as you can see. So if the price can get above this high, 4.9, it's a setup. Now I would like to see some more tightening. Volume is really good, some really good volume signs. So definitely worthwhile to keep this one in a watch list for the next couple of days. But it's already a setup if it breaks out above this high. So those were the different setups. Now let's have a look at my watch list. So these are things I'm keeping an eye on. Not really ready for a setup. NXT, for example, close to resistance, but it already went up some days. So 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive up days. So I would like to see some tight price action before this goes further up. So I'm keeping this in my watch list. This one, also a clear VCP pattern, but price fell below the SMA 10. So if this one can recover strong, then it definitely could be a nice setup. Texas Roadhouse, also tight price action, clear gap up, but price lost 10 SMA. So this one I've added from the setup list to my watch list. Wix, it tried to break out and it was a false breakout. So it went down last Friday a little bit more than 2.5%. But as you can see on the weekly chart, it's definitely the beginning of a premature stage 2 uptrend. So if it can recover this 10 SMA, that would be some strong price action. And so it's one that I'm keeping in my watch list. Dreamfinders, it actually broke out. Now it's consolidating, some strong up move volume. I want to see some more tightening price action. But it broke out above a very strong resistance on the weekly, so that is why it caught my attention. Lyra Therapeutics, also this one, it looked very nice, but then last Friday it lost minus 3.3%. But still on the weekly chart, it seems that it's ready for a breakout into a new stage 2. So there is a cup and handle pattern, as you can see over here or even a head and shoulders. So if this can break out above this high, then it will be a nice long setup. So it has to recover from this drop on Friday. So that's why I keep it on my watch list. It's not a setup. It's something to keep an eye on. Serra prognostics, tightening up, higher lows, and take a look at the weekly. A rather important resistance level. If it can break out above this high, the first resistance on the weekly is 13.5. So that creates a low risk setup with a very good risk reward. PLMR, the same, strong up move, and now it's consolidating. Maybe it could be ready for a next leg up. First resistance on the weekly, 95. Porch Group, a very strong move, 18%. So not a good setup now, but it's on my watch lists because of the weekly chart. So this could be definitely the beginning of a new stage 2 uptrend. So I would like to see some inside days, some tightening price action, and then it can create a low risk setup. So that's why it's on my watch list. TWST, it's the same. It can be the beginning of a new stage 2 uptrend, strong volume signs over here, and also on the daily. If it can get above this high, I want to see some tightening over here. This is too wide. RNR, also it broke out on the weekly chart. Now it's going nowhere. It's a little bit of sideways price action. So again, some tightening along this in the neighborhood of this high at 234 would be ideal. LPL Financial Holdings, a strong resistance level on the weekly, 270. So it can break out. There is no overhead resistance, and it can surge higher, and it would create a low risk setup with a tight stop loss just below this swing low and below the SMA 20. And the last one, SRRK. It's sort of a, if you have a lot of imagination, cup and handle with a low cheat over here. But again, I've retained this especially because of the weekly chart. If it can get above 21 level, it's definitely, it already broke out. It's already a premature stage 2, but we need confirmation, and this confirmation, it needs a high above 21, but it creates a low cheat entry if it can get above 17.5, above this high, 17.61. That's the earliest possibility to buy with a short stop loss, and then first target would be 21. And then we take a look at the weekly chart. So that's why it's an interesting candidate to keep an eye on. So those are my current setup and watch list, and these can also be found on the demo spreadsheet that I'm updating on a daily basis. Every day I'm sharing a screenshot. So this demo spreadsheet is for testing purposes only. It tests the different Minervini screens. But if you want access to the spreadsheet itself, it's this one. Just send me a direct message to my account and I will grant you access. So I've rechanged a little bit the portfolio watch list. So now it's showing the stocks, so which seems ready for a setup, and the watch list. So these are all the stocks that I've just shown you in this video. So together with direct links to the different screens. So if you want access to this file, or if you have any other questions, just send me a direct message. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.